CTV News with Sarah Freemark.
The sound of pumps can be heard humming across the area as crews work around the clock while rain continues to fall and water rises. Thank you for joining us. Parts of Simcoe County and Muskoka are underwater tonight as worsening weather continues to cause problems. Residents say conditions are even worse today than yesterday. Roads are closed, barriers are going up, and crews are working to protect homes. But in some areas, even sandbags aren't enough to hold back the water. CTV's Jack Morris has been on top of this story today. He joins us live with more on these conditions. Jack.
Well, Sarah, a lot of roads across our region are still closed at this hour as flooding mires and washes away roadways. Many people can't leave their properties, and some that could now can't get back.
So much water.
That's just one street in Orillia as flooding turns it into a river. The worst of it is in Muskoka. Fears the river will overflow here in Fraserburg, east of Bracebridge, has seen crews set up this cofferdam.
It allows us, in this case, to keep a road open that is essential for the people who live in the area. That's their only way in and out, and we need to keep that road open and accessible for everyone.
It's a water-filled portable dam that can be set up within an hour. The municipality bought them after the severe floods in 2019 to try to avoid as much damage in the next one.
We haven't had to use it in the last couple of years, but we're certainly going to need them this year.
But not every community has been able to respond.
There's a high probability that this year we're going to get whacked worse than we did in 2019.
In a committee meeting this morning, Lake of Bay's Mayor Peter Kelly blamed government inaction, not following through on recommendations from a $5 million study commissioned after the floods 7 years ago.
This could potentially be a bigger disaster than we've encountered ever. And the fact that no steps have been taken.
Kelly says he's writing a letter to the Premier and Minister of Natural Resources. The province has not yet deployed the Ontario Corps. Doug Ford says that's because a request hasn't come through.
I'm sure Minister Jill Dunlop is all over this. We have an amazing amount of volunteers, literally thousands of people ready to be activated at any given time, and I'm sure she'll be talking to me today about the actions that they're taking.
But the people here, fighting severe floods with little more than sandbags and pumps, need help now.
There are still states of emergency in effect all across the region, and they will remain so until this flooding subsides. Sarah.
All right, that's our Jack Morris reporting live for us tonight. We'll stay on top of that if we received any updates. Meanwhile, the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit is reminding the public to take precautions around drinking water anytime there's flooding. Officials say heavy rain and snow melt can compromise our drinking water, increasing the risk of illness. Private wells are especially vulnerable, and until water can be tested, people should be using bottled water or boil it for at least 1 minute. The health unit says safe water should be used for everything from drinking and cooking to brushing teeth and washing hands. The city of Barrie is preparing to offer sandbags to residents at risk of property flooding. That'll start tomorrow morning at 9. Self-serve sand and the bags will be available at Minette's Point parking lot, but you will need to bring your own shovel to fill the bags. They can be used around lower level doors and windows to help prevent water from entering. 3 children were taken to hospital following a crash involving a school bus and a dump truck this morning. This is a look at the scene on Highway 11 in Oro-Medonte at the northbound off-ramp to Forest View Road. Fire officials say the driver of the dump truck had to be removed using the jaws of life. It was a Simcoe County District School Board bus servicing Twin Lakes at the time of that crash. And Barrie police are still calling on the public to help find this man, 28-year-old Adam Myshak of Barrie, wanted in connection with a stabbing incident that happened on Sunday in the area of Ann Street North and Donald Street. Police say a 43-year-old Barrie man was found in life-threatening condition and is still in hospital. Nearly 100 secondary school teachers here in Simcoe County are facing layoffs, sparking concern from the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. The union says the school board issued redundancy notices to 99 full-time and part-time teachers today, cuts that come despite growing student enrollment, which has increased by more than 7% since 2018. Local union leaders are now calling on the province to explain the cuts and increase funding for public education. Now, CTV News, we reached out to the Simcoe County County District School Board for comment, and its response in part, the Simcoe County District School Board is projecting a decline in enrollment for the 2026-27 school year. This results in a reduction in the number of secondary school teachers required for our system. We continue to monitor enrollment and remain hopeful that we will have recall letters issued to some staff during the spring staffing process. Now, with the wet and gray weather hanging around, Blue Mountain Resort has officially wrapped up its ski and snowboard season. 122 days were enjoyed on the slopes, but the resort is now transitioning into spring operations, preparing for what is expected to be a busy summer ahead. The year-round destination credits the big wallops of snow we saw, which allowed crews to maintain strong conditions for riders throughout the winter. And the County of Simcoe is reminding all ATV and dirt bike riders that trails are closed until May 1st. This means no recreational riding is permitted during this time, and anyone who trespasses can face a fine of up to $215. The trail system will undergo cleanup in the meantime. Speaking of cleanup, Luke, I'm sure there's a lot of that underway this hour. What are we in store for next?
Well, Sarah, we're actually going to start to see a little bit of a break from the rain, which is going to be much needed, especially to the regions up north. For now, there's a break right now in Barrie. We could see a 40% chance of rain as we make our way into the evening hours once again, but there is good news on the horizon. Literally, we could see a nice mix of some sun and cloud tomorrow. But what is in store for us right now? Well, it's actually fairly nice out. Our first look at weather brought to you by the graveldrivewayguy.com, your local gravel driveway expert. We hit 20 degrees today in Barrie, about 18 right now. We're going to continue to see it get cooler as the night progresses here, and the winds are slowly shifting. So that's why we're going to be seeing it get a little bit cooler coming from the northwest at about 11 kilometers an hour. Here's looking at your temperatures right around the region. 18 Barrie, Aurelia, you're seeing about 12 in Gravenhurst, 8 degrees in Parry Sound, 14 degrees in Collingwood, 15 in Alliston, 16 in Newmarket, and 17 degrees in Toronto. So yes, just a degree warmer here in Barrie. Here's a look at the radar and satellite. Quite a messy day in and around the region. You saw some flooding up in the Aurelia, Muskoka Lakes area. Getting a slight break now, but it is expected to return once again tonight as we continue to make our way through the evening here. Now, Sarah, it's also going to get colder as we make our way closer to the weekend, but we'll have to talk about that a little bit later.
I hope the rain holds off for just a little while longer, because I definitely left all of the windows at my condo open. Thanks, Luke. It was a quiet public meeting at Barrie City Hall last night as Council unveiled its zoning plans for newly acquired lands. Annexed from Springwater and Oro-Medonte townships, these lands became part of Barrie at the beginning of the year. The city has now laid out 2 new industrial zones, both on land previously part of Springwater in the north between the 400 and Highway 11, and in the west along Sunnydale Road past Wilson Drive. Much of that currently is farmland. Only one speaker took to the podium, and they were concerned with the specific zoning of their property.
It's a very broad, high-level process that we've undergone to date. And as you can imagine, 1,600 hectares, I think, is somewhere around 4,000 acres. There's no chance we've walked every single inch of every single property. So it makes sense that there might be a problem here or there.
Mayor Alex Nuttall says staff are working on those now. It'll still be a few weeks before the freeze is lifted and owners can start submitting development applications under the new zoning. Business and community leaders gathered in Innisfil today for the mayor's business breakfast. The event featured remarks from Mayor Lynn Dolan, along with an economic outlook, providing attendees the opportunity to learn more about the town's economic landscape and to connect with local leaders and entrepreneurs.
2025 was a challenging year. Tariff uncertainty, global trade tensions, rising operating costs, and geopolitical instability created a cautious climate that tested communities right across Canada. And yet, Innisfil's local economy showed remarkable resilience.
The day also marked the launch of the first ever Innisfil Business Achievement Awards, recognizing outstanding local businesses across 5 categories, including Business of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, and honors for growth, workplace excellence, and community impact. Now, speaking of Innisfil businesses, now that Sunset Speedway is looking ahead to its future with plans to turn the property into a self-storage yard, locals are sharing their thoughts.
The sense of community, I mean the friendships, and not just friendships, I mean family that we have grown to have over the years is unbelievable.
when they bought it, all these guys loved driving their cars around the track. They made the track larger. They made the stands larger. They spent millions of dollars. But unfortunately, this is a seasonal business. I don't know about racing in the rest of Ontario, but the track just doesn't make money.
The discussion was part of a public meeting held at the town hall last night. The racetrack officially closed back in September after being in operation for nearly 6 decades. And now to a story that we've been following closely here on CTV Barrie. A verdict has been reached in the attempted murder trial of a 24-year-old man accused in a vicious stabbing of a Wasaga Beach man back in 2022. Here's CTV's Mike Arcelides.
A jury has found Kalen Coote guilty of attempted murder for the vicious attack and stabbing of a Wasaga Beach man inside his home in February of 2022 that sent the man to hospital in life-threatening condition. He was sent to hospital and placed in a coma for a week. The Crown said Coote and a taller man dressed in hoods and masks entered the apartment along River Road East at about 10 p.m. The complainant told the court after a gun was pointed to his head and failed to fire, the man was hit repeatedly with a cooking pot, then stabbed. The man identified his attacker as the accused, also known as Little D. The Crown called the act payback for a robbery just a day earlier when the complainant said he and his friends robbed Coote. He told the court he was addicted to drugs at the time and admitted to taking Coote's iPhone after kicking him in the head. Coote took the witness stand and admitted he'd been robbed, but denied ever seeking revenge. A day later, the complainant was stabbed in his home and left for dead. Coote was arrested a year later, facing a long list of charges. His DNA was found on the broken cooking pot and a zip tie found in the kitchen. The complainant said he recognized Coote's eyes, telling the court the eyes never lie. The defense called the complainant's testimony unreliable, inconsistent, and uncertain, arguing the complainant's memory may have been impaired, telling the jury there was no logical motive, no proven intent, and a case with gaps, inconsistencies, and unanswered questions that raise a reasonable doubt. The Crown, in its closing submissions to the jury, said Coote wanted revenge, refusing to acknowledge he knew the complainant, as it would tie him to the violence. After being found guilty, Coote, who has been out on bail under house arrest, was taken into custody. His sentencing hearing is scheduled to begin in June. Mike Arcelides, CTV News, Barrie.
Canada's culture minister says Ottawa is very seriously considering introducing a social media ban for children. Mark Miller says while the ban could be an important tool, it is not a solution to the larger problem of online harm. The government's move to consider age restrictions for social media and AI chatbots has received support from Conservatives and NDP members of Parliament. And today, Premier Doug Ford put a stop to the idea of banning so-called surveillance pricing on groceries, saying competition is the best driver of lower prices. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris brings us that story.
It's called dynamic, algorithmic, or surveillance pricing, a growing trend among global retailers designed to increase profits, an approach that adjusts the ticket price based on who's looking.
This is about companies deciding that one person, based on their online personal data history or shopping history, is willing to pay more for eggs than another person.
Tech expert Carmi Levy explains grocers and other retailers can learn a lot about you when you use their apps, but that's not all they're peeking into.
Location information, what you're doing in your other apps, maybe what you've posted on social media, things that you've liked and engaged with.
Think of a parent up late at night with a sick baby, Googling their symptoms.
Should the price of children's apple be based on the fact that you search that? I don't think so.
All Ontario's opposition parties want the Ford government to put up guardrails. The state of Maryland's banned dynamic pricing at grocery stores.
Same algorithms that can predict what we need can also be weaponized to exploit.
Manitoba's government introduced similar legislation last month. And this week, federal New Democrats urged the Prime Minister to
implement a national ban on surveillance pricing before it becomes a predatory new normal in Canadian life.
In Ontario, Premier Doug Ford doesn't plan to intervene.
No. I believe in a capitalist society, free market. The market dictates.
A response critics say prioritizes corporate profits.
I'm shocked that the Premier would support big grocery stores rigging the market to gouge people when they go to check out.
Stores can also deploy algorithmic pricing when you're shopping in person. with digital tags being used to move prices up or down in a flash.
As the weather changes, or as the store approaches closing time, or if inventories levels are low on a particular product.
He feels retailers have been too scared of blowback to have prices flip when someone new walks by, but the technology is there.
It wouldn't surprise me if over time this goes from being something that is the source of outrage to the new normal.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Canada Post is beginning preliminary work to convert addresses that receive door-to-door mail to community mailboxes. The Crown Corporation says the move is being made after meetings with union officials. Canada Post says it's converting about 4 million addresses to community mailboxes, with the work expected to take about 5 years. A review of its retail network is also underway in preparation for closures of urban and suburban post offices in areas Canada Post says are currently overserved. Certainly an end of an era. My grandfather was a door-to-door mailman for 40 years in the Ottawa Valley. Shall we talk about the crew of the Artemis II? They've now been back on planet Earth for nearly a week, and today the 4 history-making astronauts answered an abundance of questions. CTV's Heather Wright was listening closely and brings us the highlights.
They traveled more than 400,000 kilometers to the far side of the moon and back. Commander Reed Wiseman says the crew launched as friends and returned as best friends.
We are bonded forever. I mean, that's the closest 4 humans can be and not be a family.
For 10 days, the Artemis II crew captured the hearts and imagination of the world, going further and faster into space than any human has gone, and seeing the moon and the world from brand new perspectives.
We're all kind of struck by these things that make us feel small, and that the sense I had was this sense of fragility and feeling small, infinitesimally small, but yet this very powerful feeling as a human being, like as a group.
Speaking to reporters from the Johnson Space Center this afternoon, the crew says while they had an idea of the attention their mission was getting, they initially didn't know the extent of it until talking to their families back on Earth.
When my husband looked me in the eye on that video call and said, "No, really, you've made a difference," it brought tears to my eyes, and I said, "That's all we ever wanted."
Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen hopes this mission inspires the next generation of astronauts to dream big and says it underscores the importance of working together.
Don't do it alone, and share what you're trying to accomplish with others, because you need the support of others to do big things. And so share your goals, be brave enough to share them, and then you'll be surprised how people surround you and lift you up to accomplish them.
Asked how optimistic they are that humans could soon have a permanent presence on the moon, Commander Wiseman said not only is it doable, but doable soon. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
The Barrie Colts and Ottawa 67s are set to face off for Game 4 of the second round of the OHL playoffs tonight at TD Place Arena in the nation's capital.
Schneid for Baudouin, in for Crombie, scores!
After winning the first 2 games at home, the Colts dropped their first away game and are looking to get back on track, something head coach Dylan Smoskowitz says is going to require a full team effort.
It's energy that we build off from within. And when I say that, I talk about energy from our bench. Guys supporting each other, guys having each other's backs, guys cheering each other on, saying the right things on the bench.
Love to hear that. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. We'll have all the highlights from the game tonight on CTV Barrie at 11.
The road to the Memorial Cup is brought to you by the Boots and Hearts Barn Burner Charity Hockey Game.
Well, it is a rite of passage, and everyone should look and feel their best. This pop-up prom shop is here to help when students can come and get fitted from head to toe for free, plus handling the public's most stressful moments with precision and ease. 911 communicators were honored in Simcoe County today. We'll take you there next. You're watching CTV News Barrie.
April 29th, 2 chefs, 1 epic showdown. The Peggy Hill team presents the Iron Chef at Tangle Creek. Great food that gives back. All in support of the Busby Center. Get your tickets now.
Thanks for staying with us. For many, prom night is a milestone filled with memories, celebrations, and a chance to feel your best. Well, this weekend, one local event is making sure that's happening for everyone. The 5th annual Clearview Community Church Prom Shop. It returns this Saturday in Wasaga Beach. Hundreds of dresses will be there, along with handbags, shoes, and even jewelry. And the best part, it's all free.
So it's so great to be able to hear from the girls that we really helped them out in a time of need. And this year is kind of special because it's our 5th year running. So now we get the grade 8s that are grads, now they're in prom. So it's really exciting to see them, some of these fresh faces again.
The prom shop runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Clearview Community Church in Wasaga Beach. Again, that's on Saturday. Today, everyday heroes were honored in Simcoe County, not on the front lines, but on the other end of the phone.
Each of you is an essential part of the system that serves our communities every day. The truth is, your work may not be seen by the public, but its impact is woven through every safe outcome, every coordinated response, every life saved.
The 15th annual Tri-Service Public Safety Awards ceremony was held in Midhurst, recognizing the critical work of 911 communicators. Call takers, dispatchers, and support staff were celebrated for their calm, precision, and quick thinking in some of the most stressful moments that people can face.
Our 911 call takers and dispatchers are the unsung heroes who quickly become the first voice of hope during someone's darkest moment. Every day, they face the unimaginable.
It's my pleasure to call up Denise Horn as the award winner.
It's just so humbling to be in the company of so many great people that are so passionate about what they do, and just the teamwork is, it's just unbelievable.
And a powerful reminder that heroism has no age or knows no age. 2 young girls were recognized for life-saving actions. 8-year-old Charlotte, who helped save her mom, and Hannah, a teenage caller who helped relay instructions of life-saving care during a medical crisis. Now, from local events to breaking news as it happens here in our region and beyond, a reminder that our website is updated with both video and expanded articles. ctvnews.ca/Barrie, or use your cell phone to scan that QR code on your screen. Amidst military action around the world, some concerning statistics released from the Canadian Real Estate Association downgrading its housing market forecast. So what does this mean for our region? Joining us now to talk about just that is real estate broker Peggy Hill. Where would you like to begin?
Well, with that dark introduction, I'd like to say to you that so I've been in real estate just over 20 years, and the first 20, we had a market that just kept going up and up and up. And now the last 4, we have a market that's coming down and down. When markets are going up, everyone thinks it's going to last forever. And then markets start to go down, everybody thinks it's going to last forever. Well, I'm here to tell you that this will not last forever. It does not stay winter forever. So we have a lot of encouraging signs in our housing market. We see a lot of first-time buyers. CREA made maybe a forecast last year that the first 3 months of this year were a little bit on the scary side. We were comparing January of 2026 to January 2025. That's pre-Trump. Just remember that. That's pre-tariffs. So we didn't have a whole lot to worry about in January 2025. Fast forward, March of 2026, same problems we had of March 2025, so the numbers were kind of okay. Now, heading into April, May, and June, I can promise you that you're not going to see this market fall off the cliff. We have a lot of first-time buyers that are very engaged. We've been running first-time buyer nights every Tuesday night just to kind of get people the information they need, and it shocks me as to how many people come out for that. So people want information. We do have the right price point for first-time buyers, and honestly, this will not last forever, but it will not correct itself overnight either. Markets are a beautiful thing. They police themselves. They really do, Sarah. When they get overheated, they pull back.
I'd be interested to know, with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East and now a majority government, how that will come into play.
So a majority government is nothing but positive, regardless of who your politics stray with. it's a positive thing. It doesn't matter what party it is. We need a majority government because that's a government that has power to make decisions without worrying about offending the other side. So majority government for consumer confidence, because that's the #1 thing that's lagging in this economy. We are not lagging in interest rates. We are not lagging in house prices. They've come down. Rates have come down. However, people are so nervous. You know, we have Kuzma coming in a few months. We've got wars everywhere. Gas prices are going up. It's funny because gas prices during COVID and supply chains were not taken very seriously. And I think this time around, they don't want to make that mistake twice. So I think they're being overcautious. You know, like this is not going to last forever. Nobody can afford this war to last forever. So just remember that. It's not all gloom and doom.
Well, and speaking of brightening things up, still to come. Here on CTV Barrie, you can't give away the answer.
Okay.
We will take our viewers to one of the places, one of the countries in the world that is best known for tulips this time of the year.
It ain't
they have
Canada.
They have a deep-rooted relationship with Canada. However, that's coming up on the other side of the commercial break, but it's not us right now. Let's head outside where Luke proves that it's not quite tulip season for us yet. Luke.
Well, Sarah, we talked about those 20-degree temperatures in Barrie today. How about those temperatures that were hovering around 0 and a snowstorm out in Saskatchewan? Well, bad news. We have snow on the way to our region right here at home. We'll talk about that after the break. But first, let's go and take a look at our weather watcher, Kiana. Well, Kiana's ready for spring. She's going, Luke, don't talk about the snow. I want to go play outside with the sun shining with these nice temperatures. Yes, it will be on the way, just not right away. Thank you so much for your pictures. Stay with us. You're watching CTV News Barrie.
The Real Estate Spotlight is brought to you by the Peggy Hill team.
Hi, we're Martin and Steph
from Bounce 104.1.
And next week on the show, we're giving away tickets to the CLH Red Carpet Concert with William Prince.
And it's our final week of Bounce to the Bank.
So make sure you tune in Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 10 for your chance to win.
Picture this, brought to you by Bounce 104.1 and Pure Country 106.
I just love our selection for Picture This evening. We are celebrating signs of spring, so please continue to capture them. This is our second week doing it because you've sent us so many fabulous photos. Picture this at ctv.ca. Now, it is tulip season in the Netherlands. The spring flower season lasts about 8 weeks, and during that time, 7 million tulips will bloom in a colorful display that attracts visitors from all over the world. Here in Canada, we're familiar with Dutch tulips. The Netherlands sends us 20,000 bulbs every year as a thank you for our help during the Second World War. Luke, that was one of the things I loved about living in the nation's capital, but truthfully, my favorite spring flower is the daffodil, and that's because my dad plants them all around the farm. Although he usually buys them from Walmart and then complains when they're duds and they don't end up springing out of the ground. What's your favorite spring flower?
Well, I was going to say tulips, but then, well, that viz you showed beats any tulips that you could ever have.
With the kitten or the chicks?
Right? I don't know. I'm not a flower guy. My fiance at home's going, say lavender, Luke, lavender.
That's
lavender.
A nice one too, but a little later.
A little bit later on in the summer. And Sarah, April showers are going to hopefully bring the May flowers because we've been talking about rain all week, and these warm temperatures are really giving us that false sense of hope because I'm here to tell you that, yeah, the winter season's not over yet. We could see a little bit more snow. You might need a shovel, maybe bust out that winter parka that's been collecting dust in your closet over the last few weeks because that's exactly what we could see as we head into the weekend. And you must be thinking I'm crazy talking about snow when you see 17 degrees on your screen right now, right here in Barrie, and you're seeing temperatures pretty much above 10. You're seeing 7 in Parry Sound, a little bit cooler, but we're seeing these wet, rainy conditions right through the region. 14 degrees in Allison, 16 in Newmarket, and about 18 degrees in Toronto. Our almanac for today, how about 20.4? That was the high a few hours ago. It's since gotten a little bit cooler since the winds changed direction. However, we will take that. Not as warm as 2002, though, 30.5 degrees. That's pretty much summertime here in the region. Sunrise, we're seeing about 13 hours and 31 minutes of daylight right now, and that's only increasing, so that's a positive sign. Here's a look at your forecast. Well, good news if you're tired of the rain. Tomorrow, take a look at that. The clouds will clear, and we will see some fairly sunny conditions out there. Only for the day, though, before the rain, wintry mix and snow that I just teased you with decides to make an appearance over the weekend. For now, here's your forecast for tonight. You are seeing a nice low of around 8 degrees in Barrie, Wasaga Beach, as well as Collingwood and Orillia. 5 degrees in Midland, Pentanguishene, 6 in Owen Sound. You are seeing a risk of a thunderstorm tonight. And then there is your forecast for tomorrow. Get outside and enjoy it while you can. A high of 17 degrees right through the region, 14 in Midland and Pentanguishene, 20 in Owen Sound. Further north we go, a low of 9 tonight, a 40% chance of that thunderstorm going through the entire region, really 8 degrees in Orangeville. And what does tomorrow bring? Well, tomorrow is going to continue to bring those sunny conditions, and yes, even breaking the 20-degree temperature. But as these winds shift, it's going to start to get colder. Lows tonight up north, 7 degrees in Gravenhurst, Bracebridge, as well as Perry Sound and Huntsville, 6 in Haliburton. And again, rain, so no risk of thunderstorm further north. We are just going to be seeing those rain showers, mainly cloudy conditions tomorrow with highs of 19 right through the region, 18 in Haliburton, and about 17 degrees in Perry Sound. Could see some sunny breaks, though, up north. We're not going to just commit to those cloudy conditions just yet. It's time now for a look at the 5-day forecast brought to you by Diamond & Diamond Lawyers. And Sarah, we've been talking about a little bit of snow, and that's probably on the way. Saturday will remain those double-digit temperatures before we see a complete 180 in the forecast. You'll see a low of 0 Saturday night. Sunday morning could wake up to some of that snow activity and a high of 4. And then we're going to dip down below 0 for a few days, at least for our overnight lows, and some more snow to start the week off before we kind of go back to those temperatures that we usually see around this time. Meanwhile, in York region, we'll have a few rainy days on the way for the weekend, highs of 18 degrees and 7 on Sunday, before there is that brief chance of some snow on Monday before we go back up to those normal temperatures that we're used to seeing around this time of year on our Tuesday, but that chance of rain does remain. Meanwhile, Muskoka, Perry Sound, and Haliburton, 19 degrees tomorrow. And yes, here comes more and more rain, 14 degrees, but our low of -1. So we could see some of that water start to freeze. And then into Sunday, we do have that risk of some snow. But those lows of -7 are going to keep things interesting, at least for a few days, before we go back up to a 7-degree temperature on Tuesday. So we can't put away those snow parkas just yet, Sarah, just in case, just in case.
See, I'm glad Casey isn't here because he'd be giving me trouble for leaving my snow tires on. Yeah. But Luke, I'm prepared. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I'll see you in a bit. The countdown, meanwhile, is on to an Iron Chef-style showdown at Tangle Creek, and the competition is already heating up.
2 chefs, 1 epic showdown. The Peggy Hill team presents the Iron Chef.
2 talented chefs are getting ready to face off in front of a live audience, bringing their passion for food and creativity to the kitchen stage. We spoke with both competitors ahead of the event.
The whole reason behind the Iron Chef event is to support the homeless, and it's a charity event for the Busby Center.
I'm really excited about it too, because this is like where I am learn more and like give my creativity, and I like to make like one new dish for the Tangle Creek.
We're very excited. Our chef has given us 2 secret ingredients,
and I'm making a progress right now. I just need to finalize my appetizer only, and I think my food is going to be great and not going to have like a good flavor.
Whew! It's a night of high-level cooking, community spirit, and a little friendly fire in the kitchen. Happening on April 29th. Tickets are still available for purchase. You can find more information and a link to buy a seat on our website, ctvnews.ca/Barrie. And a reminder that Martin and I will be hosting together. We'd love to see you there. Still to come tonight, however, the cost of overcharging is now taking a toll. Why Ticketmaster and the company behind it will now be the ones to pay the price. You're watching CTV Barrie. Time now to recap our top stories. A jury has found Kalen Coote guilty of attempted murder for the vicious attack and stabbing of a Wasaga Beach man inside his home in February of 2022 that sent the man to hospital in life-threatening condition. Sentencing is scheduled to take place at a later date. Parts of our region are underwater this hour. The worst of it is in Muskoka, and there are fears the river will overflow in Fraserburg, east of Bracebridge. The province has not yet deployed the Ontario Corps. Premier Ford says that's because a request hasn't come through. And the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit is reminding the public to take precautions around drinking water anytime there's flooding. Officials say heavy rain and snow melt can compromise drinking water, increasing the risk of illness. Either use bottled water or boil for at least 1 minute. The flooding in our region is gaining national attention, joining other parts of Ontario and Quebec dealing with the same rainfall and the need to prepare for what will inevitably come next. CTV's Adrian Gabriel was in cottage country to bring us a wider look.
A rush of flood warnings blanket parts of Quebec and Ontario.
The sort of wild card factor is Mother Nature, and it's just been raining incessantly.
In Sudbury, Ontario, local businesses have been hit hard.
Yesterday, we had almost 3 feet of water in our basement.
With the snow melt and heavy rain pushing water levels to their max in northern Ontario, farther south, multiple communities are bracing for the worst. In Peterborough, sandbag filling stations have been set up. Water levels along the Trent Severn Waterway in that community continue to increase, and concerns of a full-on flood in parts of that city are on the rise. In Laval, Quebec, the banks of the Mille-Île River have been breached, with homes now at risk. Nearby Saint Jerome, the pace of this rushing river indicates just how high water levels have risen. Back in Ontario, some communities here expect water levels to continue to increase for at least the next 48 hours.
As of yesterday, we had 15,000 sandbags filled.
You can see to the north of your community just how high the water levels are. It's heading this way. What is your concern this hour?
We have to look at the greater good of the whole population. We have limited resources, and you can't expend them all and risk people's lives to save somebody who did not take the warning.
Here in Minden, approximately 15 people have already been evacuated. They're sending 150 beds to the local community center, and officials here and across multiple provinces and communities are reminding the public to follow evacuation orders and road closures. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Minden, Ontario.
Let's share some good news for drivers here in Barrie. Well, sort of. The cost of fuel has dropped to $1.70 at most local stations, and it's expected to continue trending downwards as the temporary federal fuel excise tax on gas, diesel, and aviation fuel is set to take effect on Monday, meaning the cost is expected to drop by 10 cents. That would be good news. Canadian companies using Amazon, however, to pick, pack, and ship goods will now have to start paying a new surcharge because of rising fuel costs. The e-commerce giant says the 3.5% surcharge on fulfillment fees will take effect tomorrow. The cost of oil is only one thing weighing on the stock markets. Let's see where all the numbers closed at the end of our day. The TSX was down 103 points, the Dow was up 115, and the Nasdaq was up 86, and commodities oil was up, closing at $91.17 a barrel. Gold was down, finishing at $4,808 an ounce, and our dollar was up, ending the day at 72.94 cents US. Concert giant Live Nation, the owner of Ticketmaster, has lost a high-profile antitrust case after years of complaints about prices. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
Anyone who has ever felt ripped off by Ticketmaster will likely cheer this ruling. But in order to find out what will change, we need to wait for the encore.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
The Taylor Swift Eras Tour ticket fiasco partially fueled the lawsuit, and the decision by the New York jury could be a devastating blow to massive concert promoter Live Nation.
This is a good day for concert goers. And it was a very, very bad day for Live Nation Ticketmaster.
The company could now be forced to split from Ticketmaster and pay hundreds of millions in fines. The jury also found Ticketmaster overcharged people by close to $2 per ticket. That money plus damages could be coming back to customers. And
it could lead to lower prices. What it almost certainly will lead to is more competition, more opportunities for acts
to go to different venues and not end up where Ticketmaster takes a big percentage of the money that's coming out of fans' pockets.
That lawyer told me this U.S.-based ruling does apply to Canadians. If the judge awards damages to concertgoers, someone who bought a ticket to a Canadian show from Ticketmaster will be eligible. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Speaking of disappointment, it was a tough day to be a Maple Leaf. Next on CTV Barrie, what's next for the Buds as they clear out their locker room, missing the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. Stay with us.
Pure Country 106. Central Ontario's home for the best country music. Listen for your chance to win $50,000 with Pure Country's big $50K payday.
Here's a look at your primetime lineup. 4 back-to-back episodes of The New Girl starting at 8, followed by Criminal Minds at 10 p.m. and CTV News Barrie at 11. Welcome back. The Toronto Maple Leafs have wrapped up one of the club's most disappointing seasons in recent memory. Players cleared out their lockers this morning after missing the playoffs for the first time since the 2016-2017 season. CTV's Allison Hurst has more.
Leafs fans walk out of the Senators Arena, marking the end of a disappointing season and the first time Toronto won't be in the playoffs since 2016.
This was a tough year. It was a frustrating year. We didn't meet the goals or the expectations that we set out at the start.
They finished on a 7-game losing streak, but really, since the Olympic break, the Buds never found their footing.
We had multiple meetings about what we needed to do over, I think there's 25 games left, and then to go out and, end up where we are is extremely disappointing.
The way we want to play and build the team identity and what's going to bring success and how you get everyone together on the same page, it just didn't really come together.
Injuries also played a role, like losing their captain to a brutal knee-to-knee hit.
I think you probably know how I feel about the hit. Up until a couple days ago, I just got off crutches, so I didn't think I was going to be standing here today.
Many question the team's culture and connection between players and their coach.
Our culture's good in here. I don't have a problem with the culture. I have a problem with how we performed on the ice.
The organization's GM, Brad Treliving, was fired last month, and when asked if he expects to be back behind the bench next year, head coach Craig Berube answered yes.
I haven't heard anything about that, Same as you guys heard. When a new GM gets hired and people there, and they'll make a decision.
But questions continue to swirl.
There's so much dishonesty within this organization that nobody is taking the steps to come out and tell people exactly what is going on.
Expectations for many are there will be changes both on and off the ice.
It's going to be a different looking team next year. How many, I don't know, but they have to make some moves, not just off the ice, but on the ice as well.
The only positive, last night's loss solidified the Leafs in the bottom 5 teams, giving them a better chance at a top 5 draft pick. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
All right, let's bring in someone who could be an analyst. He knows the Leafs so well. What happened, Luke?
It's not our year.
Oh, they were anxious to get on the golf course.
Yeah, they just want to.
Now you can cheer. Now you can cheer for the Ottawa Senators.
My parents have been trying to recruit me to Montreal, Sarah. I don't know.
The Canadians, not bad, but listen, this is a second consecutive playoff run for the Sens under Coach Trevor Green, so things are looking bright in the nation's capital.
Things are looking bright. We'll have to see. You cheer for whatever Canadian team can go the furthest at the end of the day. That's all that matters. You want to see a Canadian team do well. And well, speaking about golf, that was on the agenda for tomorrow. Probably could happen a little bit later on in the afternoon, but what about the morning? Well, you're seeing some cloudier conditions out there. 9 degrees in Barrie, in Newmarket, in Gravenhurst, just a few degrees cooler at around 7. Sarah?
All right, thanks very much, Luke. That is our newscast tonight. I'm Sarah Freemark. Thanks so much for watching. Jack will wrap things up tonight at 11. Take care out there.